Hello and welcome to another daily update from Moneyback Bet. It is the 28th of December 2013 and we are the only league in Europe really that decides to play, and by we I'm talking about the English Premiership obviously, and it's getting to the point now where I'm a little bit annoyed that the Premier League haven't done something about this and haven't shown any real state of English international football, because I think good international team here would give them a better product. It would give them a little bit more of a gleam to some of the edges of the Premier League that I'm not saying are going rusty, but could certainly do with a little bit of spin and polish, and it would just be good to see. And I, for one, really looking forward to the World Cup, going there completely open-minded, and just to watch some good football and to see some great teams playing. I don't have any expectations on the national team. However, it still amazes me that we're the only country that play through the entire season and are still expected to produce results at the end, being a summer tournament. Now, fatigue is a massive part of football. It's a massive part of football data analysis, and for the Premier League to just disregard this, it's in my humble opinion, it's a liberty, and it is something that needs to be addressed. But anyway, moving on with our daily update, which is what we're here to do. We have 6 games in the Premiership this weekend. Updated analysis since last time, and there's a few things to point out here. Firstly, if you watched the analysis of the Boxing Day games, that's the second update we've given this week, you'll notice that Newcastle United were deemed for goals. That's what we put them down for. It's what we spoke about, the attacking prowess, and not only did they deliver on a fantastic level, scoring 5 and having a goal makeup of 6 in the 5-1 thrashing. Their shots on target are now the highest in the league at 5.76, and it's a standout. It's something that needs to be applauded from high, because Newcastle are a real team to beat now. It's not an anomaly anymore. It's a trend that has grown over the past 4 weeks or so. Looking back historically, they did have a fantastic Premier League season, not last year but the year before. Last year was a bit of a dip for them, and everyone called them a one-season wonder. Well, guess what? Their stats are now back, and even more scary to the rest of the teams around them. Their goals per shot ratio is ridiculously low at basically 28%. That's low. They should be scoring more goals for the amounts of chances that they're taking. If some of those Hatem Ben Arfa crossbar rattles or stanchion throttles into the side netting would have gone in, we'd be looking at Newcastle United that would be scaring the likes of, are you ready for this list? Everton, Tottenham, Liverpool, Manchester United. They would be scaring all of those teams around them to break into the top positions in the Premiership. So watch out for Newcastle. They are a team who, because of our goal model, will probably be featuring a lot more of. Anyway, for this update, we've broken down some of the statistics for you already into the matches, because we're nice like that, and we can really see the 6 games that we have on offer. Now, our automated statistical model has produced some results, or some possibilities and opinions that we'd be taking. The first of which is a big bet on under 2.5 goals for the West Brom West Ham game. Now, not meaning to go into too much detail on this early game, we won't be making a big play here. This isn't going to be a match where we invest significant amount of time or resource. But saying that, the goal makeup in this game will decide quite early on whether the game goes over or under, and we feel that if we do take a short position in the game, it'd be relatively easy to trade out of should we need to, because you're looking at 2 teams playing each other, both of whom have forgotten what winning is like in the last 5 games, and both of whom are conceding the best part of 1.5 goals per game and not scoring. I mean, West Ham's scoring record is abysmal. It's beaten only by Cardiff and Sunderland in terms of abysmality. Abysmality, there you go. That's a new one. That wasn't in the script. Beaten by Cardiff and Sunderland, who actually play each other in the afternoon game. I'm glad that they didn't play this game on a Sunday, because if they tried to bill Cardiff Sunderland as Super Sunday, there would be a letter of complaint from me. There is nothing super about two teams that average 0.72 goals a game playing each other in the cold after Christmas, hungover. Nothing is good about that. Getting back to the point, and by the way, this is disappointing set of fixtures, I must say. Disappointing set of fixtures to be played, and maybe the fixture list should be shuffled around a bit nicer for Christmas. And they're fans, make them travel a bit further. Who cares? They're going to drink along the way anyway. It doesn't really make a difference. Anyway, what am I talking about? Palace are away at Man City. He's talking nonsense again. Ignore him. Back to the subject. West Ham versus West Brom. Both teams do not score a lot of goals from the chances that they do create. Both teams give away a lot of fouls, slightly higher than average. Possessional statistics aren't that great either, so you're not looking for any explosions here. The implied probability of a 3-2 West Brom away win snatch and grab situation is very, 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 very small, and as such we'll be taking an element of risk on the under 2.5 line, because we feel that we have the ability to trade out should we need after the first 18 or 19 minutes. Moving onwards, Villa Swansea doesn't seem like anything that we would want to go for. Both teams have just one win in their last 5, and that was 5 games ago for both of them. Villa have lost every game since. Both teams actually concede on average the same amount of goals, which is normally an encouraging statistic. The only thing is Villa scoring less than 1 goal a game, Swansea doing particularly poor away from home in terms of goal scoring. It just doesn't need us to anything. And when we take a look at the other fixtures that are happening around the same time as this one, we don't feel that we need to get involved at all. Our model couldn't produce an analysis would have proved any value to us in terms of the goal market, so we decided to leave it. Hull City versus Fulham. Another interesting game. Our model tells us to take the over line and bet the overs, but again, we're not entirely confident that Hull Fulham will actually create a makeup of 3, but we are confident that it will have a makeup of 2 goals. So we're looking for a 2-goal line in the Hull Fulham game, and then just to reiterate, an under 2.5 goal line game in the West Ham West Brom game. Let's take a look at the odds for the pair of those matches. And I've been watching these now for the past 4 or 5 hours or so, which is quite interesting. The underline for West Ham West Brom seems to be changing hands. Hasn't actually been too much movement aside from Pinnacle, where it's flirted between 193 and 183 for the past few days, and to me that does show that there's been some movement. Even though the movement hasn't been particularly big, I still believe that there's a lot of people getting on the underline for the West Ham game tomorrow. But it's a risky one. It's a risky one. I'm not gonna sit here and say that it's a 5-star. It's a 5-star game. It's certainly anything but. We'd be taking the underline, and we wouldn't be risking a whole unit. SBO also drifted on the same day from 194 down to 181. Great value on the over if you're an adrenaline junkie and you think that the game could potentially go over. Not something we would particularly advise here based on the numbers. The Pinnacle 2.1 is an interesting one to take it at. So we're taking the under on the West Ham game. Going back to our predictions, Hull City versus Fulham, we're going to get massive value at the 2.5 line, which is going to be slightly too rich for us, slightly more risk than the West Ham bet, but you can see that incorporated into the price. SBO going at 228 and rising. That's very interesting. Not too long ago, Marathon Bet as well leading the market on the over, but we like the 2-goal line, and we'd be looking to get in at around 1.7 just to get that insurance, which we're not going to get right now. So the highest is 168, which is falling. We can see an IAS line at 169, so that could be worth waiting out, but that's the line that we're after. We believe that there'll be 2 goals in that game, and it's a good safety net for us, especially if we can get in at a price of 1.7. The exchanges as well are not providing us with any sort of value there whatsoever. So they're the first 2 picks on what's going to be an interesting Saturday's football. Moving back, now we start to get into the good stuff. No disrespect to Hull or Fulham. Man City take on Crystal Palace at the Etihad. It's going to be big. Are there going to be goals? Well, we let the numbers do the talking on this show. Average goals per game in Manchester City is 4.11. That is the highest in the league and nearly the highest in European football. Closest are Real Madrid. Anyway, highest goals in the Premier League on average 4. They score basically 3 goals every game, except when they're at home, they normally score 4. However, they do concede at 1.17. It's over a whole goal per game, which doesn't mean it's a problem. It just means it's constant, and they've had goalkeeping issues this year, not meaning to draw on any individuals or individual mistakes, certainly given my England rant at the beginning of the show, but it's an issue for them, and you can see it quite glaringly in the numbers. The other frightening stat is they score 56% of the chances that go on target. 56%, so over half of their shots are going in. It's a ridiculous number. It's the highest in the league by quite some way. Anyway, Manchester City lover over here. I think Man City are actually going to grow into a team that the whole nation really enjoy watching to play over the next 5 years. Because when I look at Real Madrid and I look at Man City, I don't see too much difference in terms of style, the way they play, the way they set up, how they go to win games. Madrid have slightly more individualistic, there you go, flair with Ronaldo and potentially with Gareth Bale as he continues to blossom over there. But I certainly think the team set out similarly. They score a similar amount of goals, create a similar amount of shots, keep a similar amount of possession. So the numbers tell me that they're actually 2 similar teams. Anyway, they're at home to Crystal Palace, who have great form since their new manager has taken over, Mr. Pulis. 2 losses in the last 5, 3 wins. Fantastic record for them. They're actually out the relegation zone now, hovering in 17th place, but they do have a poor average goal makeup in their games of 2.17. It's very poor. When you take into consideration how much will already be packed into this price, you're never going to get a decent goal line at Man City Palace anything above 3.25. 3.25 is going to be the minimum that you're going to have to get involved in this game, and that would be certainly what we look to get involved with. And again, it's a risk because we know beyond any reasonable doubt that the match will have 3 goals tomorrow between these 2 teams. The 4th is a bit of a lottery, even with their amazing home scoring prowess. Man City, depending on the time of the goals, will depend on whether they can, quite frankly, be bothered to go and score or not. A Palace goal at any time during the game would be fabulous for us, regardless if it puts them ahead or equalised. It makes no difference to us as long as it's not in the last 10 minutes. It will still hopefully give Man City the kickstart or the impetus to go on and get more. Plus, you don't have any Champions League games happening until February. even with rotation systems, Man City is still very, very, very strong. And you can quite comfortably see a 4-0, a 4-1, a 3-1 victory for Manchester City, and all of those results would obviously create our makeup. So we're going to go and look at a minimum of 3.25 for this game. Before we do, we're going to go and take a quick look at the Norwich City Manchester United game. Now, Man United, I don't know if anyone has seen the Class of '92 documentary that came out recently. I had the great fortune of downloading it on iTunes and watching it all by myself, which was really good. It was gluttonous of me to just digest this entire movie in just solitude, and it was fantastic. It was amazing. It was one of the best depictions of football in the 90s that I've seen, and everything that encapsulated that wonderful time of the earliest Premier League years, where things were really, really starting to take shape. And I then had the great fortune of watching it again the second time around with my wife, as good as she is, talking through the majority of it, which was great because I'd already seen it, so I knew the best bits to watch out for. And anyway, what sort of advice is this giving on Money Back Bet? Watch football by yourself first. Take it in. Anyway, I'm falling in love with Manchester United again, which is always a dangerous thing to do. And the more I look at it, the more I think about it, the more I believe that David Moyes really is the right man. He really is. He was handpicked by Fergie. This is Fergie who has handpicked a lot of things throughout the years, be it from players to buy, positions to play them in, or racehorses to gamble on. The man is, in my eyes, a legend, and he's a legend for not just his footballing tactics and the way that he set out teams, but I really admire him for the leadership and the almost CEO work ethic that he took up at United, and the invention that he did. He invented what a football manager should be for the next 20 years. There were things in Football Manager video games recently, in the last 5 years, that are there that probably very, very few managers actually do in the Premier League, with Wenger and Ferguson being the exceptions. And these are the tiny things, the tiny things, and that's what these guys have done so well for so long. But anyway, getting back to the damn point. Sorry, Manchester United are away to Norwich. Man United versus Hull was a game that we didn't speak about on the last show, but we certainly took a position on, and our over 2.5 position was made up after about 20 minutes, which was fabulous. And we expect similar things from the Norwich-Manchester United game this weekend. A healthy average goal make-up of both sides over 2.5. Admittedly, Norwich do concede a shed load. They're conceding 1.72 goals per game on average, where Manchester United are scoring the exact same amount per game on average. So expect United to have 2 in the pocket at the very, very least. Problem with United is they're scoring clearly over a goal a game. Norwich City are scoring the best part of a goal a game. It's still better than the abysmality, new word, of Cardiff, Sunderland and West Ham. So we've got to give the game its dues and take the overline at 2.5. I don't know what the value is actually going to be. I would imagine it's around 275 to 279, depending on where you go. We're going to take a look at that in a second. Other reasons why we're backing: United are starting to come into a positive trend the last 4 weeks. Goals per shots ratio is improving. Possessional stats are also improving. We believe that the game could go over quite early as well, given some of the statistics pointing towards Norwich, and our model has also pointed to a first half goals bet that we won't look at in any more detail. We'll just tell you guys that that's something. But certainly Palace and Man City, Norwich and Man United are 2 games that we expect to take the over. Let's take a little peek at the pair of them now. So City Palace. We spoke about the line being 3.25. Let's take a look at 3.25. What do we got? Oh, bang on. 3.25, I think, is providing you with a safety net, knowing the makeup is statistically very, very sound at 3 goals. So Pinnacle 175 and decreasing. Hasn't been. Sorry, let's see if there's any major change. Coming in from 175 and just flirting around. People are getting close to some value at 177. I would take that all day at 175, and if I was looking into spreading some units around and taking some additional risks tomorrow, I'd look to get as close as possible to 2 on the over under 3.5 line. Pinnacle Sports, were they ever at 2? Twice in the last few hours, so there is value out there to take the over under 3.5 line at 2. I know it's a horrible line, and I know there'll be a lot of people out there that are saying, "Ugh, this line is too big," but just go back, look at the maths, look at how powerful Manchester City actually are. You're investing your money wisely by looking at more goals from the City Palace game than trying to scrounge anything from a West Ham Villa game, or actually a Cardiff Sunderland game, but we'll get onto that in a second. Let's check the line for our other prediction of the day, which was Norwich Manchester United. And again, I think I stated over under 2.5 at around from 175 to 179, and it's actually much better than that. That's surprising. And normally when I get surprised, I get worried as to why that's happened. So let's have a closer look, and we can see if this is anything newsworthy. Very interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. Massive value to be had at the under at 212 on Christmas Eve, only for it to be soaked up a few days later. That doesn't surprise me. Again, Pinnacle at 212. Let's look at a more contemporary commercial book. 365 haven't really seen too much movement from 205. Their 1.8 price has gone up from 175, which was standard prices. So maybe people do feel that there is the value there on United tomorrow. That's certainly what the market is telling us. And it's certainly not what I believe. 2 goals away from home, United buzzing form. They won 3 in a row. They'll certainly want to make it 4 in a row in the league. They've scored 3 away from home against Hull and come back from 2-0 down, which is a miraculous result. They're going to be going into this game flying against a Norwich City team that have just been beaten and have only won once in their last 5. There is no reason at all why United can't make that over, and I feel that I feel it's almost too good to be true at 189, and we would certainly be taking that. Without a shadow of a doubt. It's at this point that you can also consider any late news, any late goal news for the game, and as such. There are many sports websites you can go to out there that probably wouldn't infringe the copyright of this video, so we'll just keep going. But as such, we don't know any team news for the United game that's too much different to the last. So that's what we'll take. Going back again, last game of the day, Cardiff versus Sunderland, and for us it's an automatic no-brainer. We're going to avoid both teams. Don't be fooled by nearly an advert for somebody there. Don't be fooled by the average goal line even being at 234 on average, 228 versus Sunderland, 239. It's because they just let in a shed load. 0.72 goals per game both teams are scoring on average. incredibly low, both of them conceding over a goal and half a game. I don't think they're going to outscore each other. I think it's going to be a really sticky game. Both teams are in very sticky circumstances. Cardiff City now managerless as of this evening, and we broke the news on moneybackbet.com earlier today, playing a Sunderland team in rock bottom, although they just won again. They beat Everton, which was a game that we actually marked up incorrectly last week. On the 26th. I keep forgetting how many days there have been this week. We did mark that up incorrectly because Everton went down to 10 men. Howard got sent off in a fluky result. Anyway, moving back. There's a reason why we won't be training on these two teams. Not only are the average goals really, really poor, but the goals per shot chances are also just as poor. So even if teams do break through each other's weak defences, their shooting isn't spot on enough to beat each other's keepers, and we're predicting a very low scoring game there. But this is football, and anything can happen, and all we can do is spot the patterns, and spot the trends. Use enough maths in the models that we create to know that we are coming into the market with some sort of value and an understanding of how the numbers are going to move in order for us to take advantage. So that looks to be that. Anyway, like I said at the beginning of this, that we would give you some additional freebies for this weekend. Let's roll back slightly and take a look at what we have. The Melbourne Victory play Western Sydney Wanderers in the Australian A-League first thing tomorrow morning, 8:45 local time. It's a game in a league that we've been featuring behind the scenes here for about 3 seasons now. And last season, the Australian League was particularly profitable, only for a few teams that we staked on and only for a few goal markets. But it was very profitable for us, and we really enjoyed it. This season has been different. This season has started very slowly and very boring. Too many games with low goal makeups, a huge ratio of 0-0s compared to last season. Just a lot of factors that were causing us to not have the same profitability year on year as we had last year. Looking at these two teams, Western Sydney holders play the Victory, who are spurred on and are buzzing after the last win. It's an anything can happen game in a league where there have been a number of low scoring games of late, and we just see this one as breaking the trend. And we have we don't have a whole unit on this game, but the over/under line on Melbourne Victory versus Western Sydney, without showing you the numbers beyond it's beyond belief. And we would never be one to use the expression free money, but this certainly is as nailed on as we would like it. Pinnacle Sports trading at 2.15. Flirting around those prices. Prices are still rising on certain books, which is always good to see. So we have some units. We have something on the over/under in the Melbourne Victory Western Sydney game. Our other special for you tomorrow comes from none other than Turkey, if we can ever find it. The Turkish Superliga has a game quite early on tomorrow versus, and you're going to have to forgive my pronunciation, Elazığspor fans, but you are at home playing Rizespor tomorrow at 11:30 UK time, 12:30 Central European. And these two teams actually in quite bad form. Elazığspor particularly at bottom of the table and are struggling, but both teams are scoring. And unlike some of the games in the English Premier League, the teams at the bottom of the Turkish League are doing not too bad. Good value, and at 2s here to take the over 2.5 line. Again, it's left field. I wanted to give you some more games purely because everything in Europe is now closed, and normally we cover 5 leagues, and our English Premier League it consists of me sitting here slating teams for not even being able to manage a goal per game this season. So we're giving you some action from the Turkish Superliga. Take the over 2.5 on the Elazığspor game at close to 2 as you possibly can. Anyway, just to finish up here, to come back full circle, I hope that as we're growing the website and we're growing the features, and we're ploughing more and more investment into the actual product itself, that more and more of you are being able to listen to this and to take advantage of some of the news and analysis that we're offering that's completely unique to moneybackbet.com. If you can find anywhere along the website to subscribe to our newsletter, please do so, because we really want to keep in contact with all of you out there that are listening to this content and really we want to reach out and start to build the community up properly. So thank you very much for watching again. This has been our daily roundup. Let's all look forward to the early action that kicks off in the Australian League tomorrow. Let's hope that Manchester City make that 4-goal makeup, and it will make all of us happy, and we would have made so much money by the time that the Cardiff Sunderland game comes around. We can just watch it all in peace. Thank you very much. This is moneybackbet.com. See you on the other side.